earlier today, I got caught in just a rabbit hole of red pill content having to do with the topic of monogamy, particularly how it's supposedly a myth in today's modern Western society where ostensibly women have way more options than ever previously in history, and just the idea that men ideally would not like to be monogamous and blah 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 blah. And the whole monogamy argument comes from a religious basis, Christian religious basis, and it made me think about God and how you know it's just another aspect that makes me question God's existence because these people that parrot this idea of polygamy and just kind of womanizing, particularly men, talking about how you should sleep with as many women as you want and not be faithful to a woman. It's like you would think if there was kind of a just world we lived in, that these people wouldn't be so successful and they wouldn't have women going after them, but they do, and that's what I find kind of really aggravating about this whole thing is just how it's the age-old question: why do good things happen to bad people? Why does wealth seem to um, be collected by or achieved by people that do scummy, shitty things in order to reach that wealth? And we all have to deal with wealth. There's not a single person on the planet that doesn't have to account for their own need to survive, basic survival needs, eating, shelter, and clean water, whatever. But you look at the people around you, and it really seems like a lot of the people that have a lot of money, they did immoral things, usually lying or extorting or other, criminal behavior that you really couldn't argue is has any sort of like moral perspective to it. Really, just a dog eat dog mentality, an ego driven mentality, kind of a mentality of like, fuck you, I got mine. I don't care what happens to the other dude. I'm just here to conquer, and I don't think you can make it really in the world without having that sort of mentality. And it puzzles me that we all have to deal with that. I would say, because it just how can that coexist with the hippy dippy shit of like love's the answer and blah 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 blah. Well, I just are you really going to argue that every single person that is doing these immoral things to amass wealth and status and fame and things that you would think you want, they're all just quietly suffering in their minds because they have this tremendous level of guilt associated with it? Like, I don't know if that's the case. I really don't. So that's, but you do have to wonder too, these people on social media, and this is kind of why I always think about how the internet is such a dangerous thing. For all it offers, it is good. It really, it can poison your brain as far as like making you see people that are doing better than you or seemingly doing better than you in every single dimension of life, that then tell you things and you're inclined to listen because you kind of want to maybe share some qualities of this person's life, or you want to have that in your own life, whether that be again, the basic things: money, status, fame, whatever else, good relationships, maybe a really attractive body if you're talking about a fitness influencer or something like that. These people that they post their training videos and they have tutorials on how to do this and that, and then they conveniently leave out details that are extremely important, like I do steroids, or I've been doing this for way longer than I'm going to act like I have been, because it's a lot less impressive to say that you've achieved a level of mastery after 15 years of hard work than it is to be like, oh, this only took me 2 years. There's a big difference in how people are going to react to that, especially if you don't have a very keen mind and you're not thinking about potential deception, I guess we'll say. But you know, um, I really don't know what to think. It frustrates me. Another thing I was thinking about. This is a question I've always had. Is like, how can you how can free will coexist if God has a plan? Like, how can God have a plan, but we also have free will? Never quite understood that. I don't really see how you can rationalize that. That always seemed like something that kind of, you know, takes a little bit of credibility or maybe a lot of credibility away from Christianity. And also, too, like, why do I have to deal with the depravity of the world and the sinful nature of humans for what a human did, um, you know, I'm talking specifically about the story of Adam and Eve and the forbidden fruit. Why do I have to pay for that? Why can't I be born pure and then have to deal with that initial temptation? These are just things that to me really make Christianity kind of hard to believe in. It's like it just it's I feel like I'm not a perfect person, but I do try to do a lot of things honestly and correctly with empathy and consideration for other people around me. Assuming kind of maybe like sometimes I do it just because it feels good. Other times there's an aspect of maybe I'll get some karmic return for doing this, which I don't think is a wrong thing to do. If a good thing is still a good thing, even if you're doing it in order to receive. But yeah, I mean, it's just sometimes I think to myself, man, should I just go out and be a piece of shit to get the things that I want in this world? I don't think I should, but it's a frequent question that I have in my mind. So that's all I got to say for now.